Hello, and a very spooky Valentine's Day to you. I'm Noelle, local illustrator / cursed content creator, and today I'm going to be making 3 Valentines that are cute enough to send to your friends, and cursed enough to unsettle your foes. I'll be showing you my art process from start to finish, and drop a few art tips along the way. So let's go! Now, I'm designing these based on the Valentines that I made last year, so we're working with a preset color palette and some design standards. Initial plan was to do 2, one involving a hand, because I love suffering apparently, and one involving a skull, because I'm shameless, apparently. And then this third one got a little Eldritch Cthulhu because my brother pointed out that a tentacle would be funny for a cursed Valentine, and you know what? He's so right. It is funny. Thank you, brother. The first step is obviously to gather reference. I'm a big proponent of reference, especially when drawing hands. There's 2 kinds of reference, direct and style. For direct reference, I used my own hand, of course, and this really cool app called Handy, which features a ton of different 3D models that you can pose and edit, change the field of view, the camera, the lights, all of that. It's a free app, which is awesome. For style reference, I just looked up some images of hands by artists I like. Ben Eblin has awesome hands. I love looking at them. They've got this great 3D quality to them. So good. Then for the skull, I got this guy right here. This isn't sponsored, but I'll link the one that I got down below in case you also want a little pet skull for your art studio. Then I'll level with you. The tentacle? Yeah, I just looked up pictures of tentacles. With all of that out of the way, let's move on to Valentine number 1, which is this hand one. Just wanted to do a cute little hand in the K-pop pose, and then just write illy. The cursed / creepy element is just the fact that it's severed, and you can kind of see the bones poking out. Ooh, gross, spooky, gore. One way that I really like to stylize hands, people often will draw them so that they're completely flat on top and then curved on the bottom. I prefer to make it so that on top there's also a curve that kind of goes into the knuckle. I think that adds a lot more fluidity and motion to the hand. Since we're going for an old school etching aesthetic, I add a bunch of tiny little lines along with the line art. To be honest, the brush that I'm using for this whole thing is the Bold Lines brush by Jing Sketch. It's from a paid brush pack that I bought a while ago, but man, that line art brush is so good. It has variety in size, it's all pixels, so you can select and fill it cleanly. Favorite line art brush of all time. Now let's move on to Valentine number 2. Funny enough, my screen recording of this actually got corrupted. Look at how crazy that looks. Luckily, I had a couple backups, so I am in fact able to show you this skull. I don't even know where this came from. I just wanted to draw a skull, and then I wanted to make it cry. And then I was thinking about skulls, and I was like, man, a skull would be jealous of somebody's skin. And then I just thought of the Creep song by Radiohead. So the line on this one is, your skin makes me cry. I personally think that's hilarious. I recognize not everybody will think this is funny, but you know, one thing we're kind of going for here is plausible unrealism, right? So we want everything to kind of look right, but if you look up close, everything here is stylized. It's not entirely anatomically accurate, and that's okay. The point is just you're making the choices that make the most sense to you in the moment of making the art. Going into some hand lettering. I later discard this and instead use a font so that they more closely match my Valentines from last year, but you know, it's there, it happened. Since I'm using such a clean line art brush, it's going to look like I color this thing in roughly 3 seconds flat. The way I colored these and got the block printing effect was I duplicated my flats, moved them a little bit offset. That kind of creates the illusion of a misprint and adds a really nice kind of chunky shadow line to the whole design. The last step is, of course, to just put a nice little texture straight on top, and that just, it ties the whole thing together. Makes it look awesome. If you've ever got it like digital image and you think, this is kind of flat and I don't like it, try putting a texture over top set it to overlay, put it to like a light color, it'll unify all the colors you have underneath, add a fun texture that makes the whole image look a lot more complete. The third benefit is it's a little hard to edit it after that point, so you'll stop going back and fiddling with it, because that is a curse that I have dealt with for years. Finally, on to the third one, the tentacle one. I'll admit this was a terrible pun, but I swiped the line from the Jonas Brothers song, "Sucker for You," for this one. The opportunity was there, I couldn't resist. One thing that makes drawing tentacles a lot easier is sort of drawing one centralized shape and then wrapping a ribbon around it, and the ribbon that's being wrapped around it is basically where the actual suckers will go. If anybody wants to know how to do this in more detail, let me know. I'd be happy to make a tutorial. I will say, this sort of pseudo-realistic octopus tentacle really lended itself well to the sort of cross-hatching etching vibe that I was going for. And personally, this one might even be my favorite out of the bunch. I don't know. Something about it is really appealing to me, and I think the flower is just also doubly really funny. Roses are pretty fun to draw. I find it easiest to go from the center outward, just occasionally leaving spaces where the petals are folded over, or where you can see the center bud of the rose. The tentacle looked a little bit too one note when it was all one color, so I wound up making the sucker side white, which then necessitated me going back in by hand to erase the white layer that I had over the line art. It also kind of made the octopus look like crab meat. I don't know what's up with that. It really looks like imitation crab meat that you'd get in a California roll. Let me know if I'm crazy. Let me know if you see it too. It's just something about these colors. Once that was done, I went ahead and made that print offset type layer. Added some text that I will later erase and replace with a font, because life is agony. And those are my 3 Valentines done. Please feel free to screenshot and send these to your friends or foes. I don't judge. Hope you enjoyed the process. Hope you got at least a couple fun tips out of it. And I hope that your Valentine's Day isn't too lonely. If it is, remember, you're never truly alone on this earth. Your skeleton's with you. And on that subject, subscribe to preemptively join the skeleton army. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.